Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our monthly guest expert class. Today, we have the amazing Sonja, who is aka the Search Queen, but also is the owner of an amazing business called the Search Republic. And today, she's going to be sharing all of her wisdom, well, probably actually a tiny snippet of her wisdom on Google search and all things understanding SEO. So, Sonja, I'm going to hand over to you because I know you have a beautiful introduction in your presentation as well. I will be on mute, and remember, feel free to put your questions in the chat, and if she doesn't see them, I'll read them out for you as well.
That would be
Too
great
lovely.
if you wouldn't mind, because I do have a tendency to keep talking and forgetting that there's questions in the chat. So that'd be great,
Absolutely
Sarah.
fine. No worries.
It's great to see you all and thank you all for being here today. I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. So just bear with me one sec. Mm. Thank you all for joining. Just going to just share. Can you see my screen okay, ladies? All good? Fabulous. So thank you again for being here. Myself and Sarah, we're kind of very much we swim in the same circles, but we're very clear on what our niches are. I am a Google expert, so I specialize heavily in SEO and Google ads, YouTube ads, everything to be found on Google by your ideal client. That is our job. The Search Republic is my business, and there's a team of 16 of us that actually run the business. But my goal for you all today is really to empower you just with basic understanding with how Google actually works. Because I do believe that when it comes to Google, people are really overwhelmed. And when we're overwhelmed about things, it usually tends to go into the too hard basket and we don't touch it. And that's why so few people are missing out on the opportunity when it comes to Google. But I love to educate business owners so that they can really understand the true value and how it can actually transform businesses. So to ensure that you don't miss out, because obviously there's so many businesses that are on socials and that's amazing. But at the same time, when you understand how to win the game of Google, it actually can be really transformative for your business. Okay. So I'm all about speaking in analogies. I have no interest in confusing you further because you're like, what is Google? I have no idea what any of this technical jargon is. I'm going to do my very best to make it as simple as I possibly can. Um, but because it's my craft, I do tend to get very passionate about what it is that I do. So if there are any questions, please ask me at the end. There is going to be a little portion to add, a little portion of time to ask questions. With that though, I'm going to fly through it as much as I can because there's a lot of information that I want to take you through today. But firstly, a bit about myself. I'm a mama to Sage, Faith Raymond. So she's my little daughter. She's almost 20 months, and I'm also pregnant with my second. Um, I am a mompreneur. She's probably my biggest achievement today. Well, no, not that she's probably is. She is because she's been very much a massive teacher to me. I'm a fertility advocate as well. I actually had a 3-year journey to bring her outside, and I'm very open about it because so few people talk about fertility and how hard it can be. So I aim to be an advocate for women to break down the silos. So if you do follow me on socials, Sonja the Search Queen, you'll see that I speak very openly about that there. But yes, I also have another baby on the way. I'm pregnant with my second due in August. So as you can gather, I'm a very busy lady. But Sonja the Search Queen is my personal brand, and essentially, I set that up probably about 4 years ago, purely to educate business owners and build trust with my audience about what it takes to be found on Google. And the Search Republic then is the business. But I am Irish. You probably guessed my lovely accent. And I've been here almost 11 years, and I'm very proud to call myself an Australian citizen as well. And the opportunities here in Australia are absolutely second to none in comparison to what it is like in Ireland. I moved to Australia predominantly to progress with my career because the competition in Ireland to progress with your career is actually really, really high. I have a degree and a master's in marketing. I've worked on some of the world's leading brands in the traditional space, so such as Guinness, Skoda, Nestle, L'Oreal. Um, who else have I worked on? Heineken, a lot of the alcoholic brands, but I'm not a big drinker myself. But yeah, digital is where my passion lies, purely because you can physically track what's actually coming from Google, and Once you have the right data behind your website, you can actually track where your return on investment is going to come from and where you should spend the most money. And metrics and data is the way is where you need to be spending your energy when it comes to marketing and where to invest your marketing dollars. If you're not looking at data and you're investing money in marketing, you really are missing out and making really empowered choices around your marketing. So yeah, I feel that my why in this lifetime is to help businesses work smarter, not harder, so they can spend more time with the people they love the most, and they never have to worry about where their next sale is coming from. So the business actually was found me by accident nearly 6 years ago, and that was because I worked in 3 other agencies here in Australia, and my reputation actually followed me in the agencies that I worked at, meaning that I got such great results for these clients and I really cared about the clients that I was working with, and they just never forgot me. So I literally had a massive sign and a wake up call from the universe, probably August, it'll be 6 years ago, just before I got married. And I had 10 clients approach me in the space of 1 week to say, can you just do your own thing? Because nobody really cares as much as you do. And I was like, okay. It was a no-brainer. I didn't have to set up a business and go find clients. I literally had the clients, and then the business was born. The business was under the radar for the first year. And then wasn't until I saw the results the clients were getting that I realized it wasn't about me anymore and I needed to put myself out there. So initially we were called this the Marketing Republic, and then we rebranded to the Search Republic nearly 2 years ago because of the identity around my personal brand, Sonja the Search Queen, and also the Search Republic needing its own identity. So that's a bit about my backstory. This is a quote that I want to just preface, like, because I think it's really important to understand that there are so many gorgeous websites out there, but they're actually, the majority of them are billboards in the desert. Meaning that a website without any relevant visitors, no matter how good the design, is like putting a billboard in the middle of the desert. There is this misconception that because you have a website, you're going to be found on Google. You'll be found on Google for your brand name, but you won't be found by your ideal client, by all the different types of opportunities that you could be found for. So the goal of what it is that I do is we re-engineer your website so we can be found by your ideal client, and you can tap into people that are searching on Google every second of every hour, every minute of every day. Okay. Um, so just a bit about the business. As I said already, it was established in 2018. We now are a nationwide agency, so we've clients well, actually internationally as of last week. We have clients all over Australia and New Zealand. So yeah, little old me that started in her bedroom almost 6 years ago. It's grown massively. And it's definitely down to our team. We have the most amazing people working for us that really care, and we're all very much aligned with our values of trust, respect, loyalty, and integrity. We're an awarded Google partner, so what that means is that Google actually trusts us as being experts in our industry for Google Ads. We've over 18 years of traditional advertising and digital marketing experience as well. And our company values, as I said earlier, was trust, respect, loyalty, and integrity. So that comes into every equation of how we run the business, the clients we take on, the team that we employ. We kind of really mirror those values, because I think a business without values, it kind of makes you not understand why you're doing what you're doing. And obviously, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of have had previous experiences within my industry, but trust is a big issue because there's a lot of people that make false promises that Google can't even make. And they just, from my experience, and I've seen firsthand, they just want the sale and they just want your money. But I'm all about retention and the long-term relationship. Truth be told, the reason why that's such a strong value of mine in this business is because of the agencies I worked for. I have witnessed firsthand how not to run a business. And when you make these false promises, I was the person that was on the front line managing these clients and unrealistic expectations. It made my life very, very difficult. So the importance of transparency around how Google works is of utmost importance to us as a business. We also respect our clients' budget. We respect the clients that we work with, but we equally we like to be respected by our clients. We're very loyal to our clients, and our clients are actually very loyal to us, which is why we have a 90% client retention rate. So we look at the big picture. Okay. Integrity, like, it's very easy to not do the right thing in this space. And that's what people don't understand, is that you can actually physically check when somebody's not doing the work. And when I talk about integrity, I've inherited so many clients, Google Ads campaigns over the years, and I've logged into the back end of the website, the back end of the Google Ads campaign, and I can check from the change history about what actually has and hasn't been done in the campaign. And just as a classic horror story that I've seen is one of our luxury home builders that were managed by one of the top tier agencies here in Perth. They were managed by this agency, managed, I say, for 3 years. And when I logged into the change history of this account, no work had been done in 3 years. And they were paying this agency $3,000 a month to manage the Google Ads campaign with no work. So that's like stealing. It's like paying for a team member that never shows up for work. So that's where I'm like, our industry unfortunately is not regulated. You just have to really be very careful about where you invest your budget and who you put it in the hands of. Okay. Um, Also, as I said to you, our 100% focus is on client retention. We've no interest in taking clients on in the short term, because it does dilute your overall retention if they don't have skin in the game. We've quite a strict criteria, and there's different levels of clients that we work with. So our lower end clients that aren't turning over as much revenue may need help with Google My Business, or they may need help with setting up Google Analytics 4 into the back end of their website. They may need help with actually identifying what are the obstacles stopping them on Google, which is what an SEO and fire audit. But the done for you services for clients like to run a Google Ads campaign and SEO campaign, they're usually clients that are turning over at least $500,000 to $1 million per year. And they have actually very much a proven strategy in how to grow their business. We have an active client waiting list, meaning that we have a list of clients that want to work with us, but we're very mindful about like growing the business sustainably and also at a level that everybody's going to continue enjoying. So we do take an intake every month, but once we have that intake, we actually cap that till the following month just to manage our production timelines. Since the business has started nearly 6 years ago, we've generated over $500 million in sales for our clients. So just a disclaimer, my business isn't worth $500 million. This is as a result of all the campaigns that we have been running for our clients. We've generated over $500 million in sales for our clients collectively. This is our current service offering. So we do Google Ads, and under the Google Ads suite, you have Google Shopping, Google Search Ads, Google Remarketing, Google Display, you have YouTube advertising. So that all fits under Google Ads as a whole, but most people aren't aware of, okay, yeah, YouTube, I had no idea YouTube ads were actually part of Google, which they are. We also do SEO. So SEO is the backbone of your entire marketing strategy. Any website that doesn't have SEO on it, it's a really massively missed opportunity. It's the backbone of your entire online presence. So I'll speak a bit more about SEO as the next slides come up. But these are some of the brands that we've worked with on both a local, national, and international global scale. So you'll recognize a few of the local brands here. So Plunkett Homes, JWH Group. So JWH Group owns Plunkett Homes, Oswald Homes. They also own Residential Attitudes as well. And Zomo, WA Country Builders, RBC, which is a rural building company. They're all owned by the JWH Group. And they were one of the reasons how the business actually started. So you'll see some of the international brands as well that was being worked on in traditional space. But that's just to show you the caliber of clients that we have worked with our experience. So I have a bit of a competition today. So I want you to take out your phones and scan this QR code. So basically what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to take a picture from any time in today's presentation or training, and I would like you to share your biggest takeaway on socials and tag Sonja the Search Queen and the Search Republic. And basically from there, we'll pick a winner tomorrow to actually receive our SEO on Fire Ignite package. So that will give you a snapshot as to actually is wrong with your website and what you need to do to rectify it. So you're not a billboard in the desert. So it's going to give you a bit of a blueprint. So what I do is take out your phone, scan. You do need to actually scan this and fill this out first. And then you also need to obviously take a picture throughout the presentation. Is everybody clear about what their requirements are to enter the competition? Is anyone unclear? Sarah, if there's anything in the
I
chat.
love that. That's so generous. Thank you so much.
No bother. That's absolutely fine. No problem. Is there anything in the chat? Nobody's struggling with how to enter?
You're all fine, hun.
cool. We just need to scan this and then just take a picture and your biggest takeaway and tag Sonja the Search Queen and the Search Republic on your stories. That would be fabulous. I'm an Instagram girl. I'm also found on LinkedIn and Facebook, but Instagram is where how the business is growing and where my audience is. Okay. So just a bit about Google. Whether you know it or not, Google has 4.3 billion users worldwide. It is the largest marketplace on the planet. Everyone who is and ever will be your customer is on Google. So they search every hour, every second, every minute of every day. So the thing is, when you think about like you have a problem, what do? You enter it into Google. So why aren't you being found for that problem that you solve? And that is essentially what we do. We match you as being the solution to that problem. And you can do that in multiple ways, which I'll go through today to explain the nature of a search result. But just on average, just so you know, there's 40,000 searches per second on Google. There's 3.5 billion searches per day, which is insane. There's 75% of the audience that do not scroll past the first page. So if you're not on the first page of Google, you are a billboard in the desert. To get to the first page of Google, it can be quite a long time, but it's about you investing in the long-term future of your business in order to win the game of SEO on Google and be found ideally by your ideal client, like organically. So organically is how you naturally appear on the search engine, but the process of SEO actually re-engineers your website to ensure you can be found by your ideal client in the easiest possible way. So just to let you guys know as well, that like the market share that Google has, it's one of the biggest companies, as you know, in the world, but it has 92.24% of the overall market share versus Bing and Yahoo. And essentially, Google doesn't care about you as a business. They only care about the people that's using the search engine so to ensure that the people come back and use Google time and time again, which is why they actually keep changing the rules. Because if you think about it, years and years ago, you may have had an abysmal experience when you were trying to find something on a search engine. You'll find that almost never you go on to Google, you will find what you're looking for instantly. You will not have the exact same experience on Bing and Yahoo, which is why Google has constantly changed the rules to ensure that the people that use Google are having the best possible experience from a relevance point of view. They want to make sure that they're find what they're looking for in the first search because we're very impatient as a race, as a human race. So we just need to make sure that we keep that in mind that really Google doesn't care about you as a business. They just care about the people that are using the search engine. So the nature of a search engine result. So when you see up here at the top, you'll see sponsored. These are actually search ads. So this is where people are paying to be on the top few positions of Google. Okay, so search ads are part of the Google Ad Suite. So people are paying to be here. The local results as well here. Does everybody have a Google My Business listing set up? Yeah, everybody? Okay, cool. Just as FYI, this is something that I haven't actually included today, but if you this is also a missed opportunity by a lot of like smaller end businesses as well, that like you can actually optimize this to ensure that you show up better on the local results. We also do that as an audit of your existing Google My Business. So if that is something that you'd like for us to actually take a look at, feel free to even use one of the contact forms and just reach out to let us know that you'd like some help. We can send you the information on that. But it is actually something that is going really, really well, like especially smaller businesses. But it will give you a snapshot about all the things that need to change on the Google My Business listing, because this is obviously a very much a missed opportunity with a lot of businesses. You might have one, but optimizing it is another. Okay. Underneath here is SEO. So SEO is your organic listing. So people aren't paying to be here. So the businesses above, when we say the map listing, that's based on location, but you can actually optimize in other locations through process of local SEO. But as I said here, people naturally appearing on Google is basically the ideal scenario, making sure you appear first page position because you're not paying for any traffic when somebody clicks on your listing here. Whereas at the top, you're going to be paying per click every time somebody actually clicks on your ads. Does that all make sense to everyone? So we understand when we look at Google what we're looking at. Okay. The important thing is to note with an effective ongoing SEO campaign, off-page SEO, which is the Google My Business listing, also falls onto the off-page SEO. So when we do take on clients, we not only optimize this position here as well with the organic results. We also optimize the local listings because it all ties into trying to be found by your ideal client on Google. But if it is a thing that you want to just figure out, like what things could you be doing some quick wins yourself, that's something we could help you with. Okay. Just the role of Google in the marketing funnel. So the thing is, when you come to when you think about it, with Google, there's actually a campaign to solve every aspect of where you are in the marketing funnel. So again, when you think about when you're looking for someone and you're in something and you're in the research phase, you'll go to Google and do your research. So you'll most likely be looking in the organic rankings because you're like trying to build some information. Also, you might have seen before graphic ads that pop up on another person's website. Basically, those are display ads as part of Google Ads to basically interrupt the buyer behavior and educate you about that business's brand over anybody else's to ensure that they can actually pull you in at the very early stage of your buying cycle. YouTube ads is another way to do that as well. Okay, so you would have seen YouTube ads, that's the skippable and the non-skippable ads. Also at the interest phase, SEO plays a major part there as well. Also Google display ads and YouTube ads as well, because basically anyone that's been that you're targeting on Google display, for example, there's a whole profile built about every single person that searches on Google. So literally they know what you've had for breakfast really, but like they know what your age demographic is, what your income really is, where you work. They know so much about you. It's similar to Facebook. So when you see meta ads and you see like these ads that pop up all the time, you also have this on Google, but the cost per click on these are a lot cheaper because it's not as flooded as what it is on Facebook. Okay. But consideration, SEO and search ads. So basically, people are kind of trying to consider who could actually solve their problem. SEO and Google search ads definitely speak to that part of the funnel and the intent. SEO, as you can see, you're seeing a running theme here. SEO is the backbone of every part of the stages of the marketing funnel, which is why it's so important, and it is the backbone. But it is a long-term strategy, which I'll go through separately. But intent, Google search ads, Google shopping ads. So if you're an e-commerce business, for example, if you search on Google, where I showed you where the search ads were, you'll see the ads pop up in graphic format on the top few positions of Google. That's specifically for clients that can sell product online. And that is called Google Shopping Ads, which falls under Google Ads. Okay. Evaluation stage is basically sits at the SEO and Google Ads and Google remarketing. So essentially, if somebody comes on your website but haven't fulfilled their inquiry, you can actually from Google Ads, we can actually target those people to encourage them to come back on your website. And if they haven't converted for whatever reason, you can actually encourage them to come back on and actually convert, because there's a lot of things that stop people from converting. And not every person that comes on your website is going to convert into a lead or a sale or your ideal client. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. But what remarketing does, it ensures that we keep you top of mind. And then purchase. So again, when people are ready, hot and ready to trot and ready to buy, they will go to Google and find what they're looking for. And it's usually survival of the fittest, meaning who is the person that is closest to the top that can actually match what they're looking for. So SEO, Google search ads, and Google shopping ads is basically how we solve people's problems. So as you can see, common running theme, SEO is literally speaking to every step of the marketing funnel. Okay. Now, when it comes to Google as an actual beast of a search engine, just to give you a heads up, when I talk about algorithms, I'm talking about rules. Okay. So Google changes the rules every day. Okay. And the reason why they change the rules is because they always bring it back to the end user and ensuring that the end user is having the most amazing experience on them on Google as a search engine, so that they don't go to Bing or Yahoo. Okay. So there's over 3,000 algorithm changes per year that happen on Google. So 3,000 rules happen on Google every single year. So when we talk about, you often hear people say, "Oh yeah, I do the SEO myself for my own website." And unfortunately, when we do page of content and we upload that, that is a very, very small part of how SEO actually works. Like there is on page, off page, and technical. And under that, there is a whole host of deliverables that need to be rectified each month on an ongoing basis to satisfy Google, where Google is right now. but you also have the algorithm changes that are released. So all the rules that are released in the future, that you also need to ensure that your strategy is robust to ensure that the website doesn't get hit. So when I say the website doesn't get hit, we don't want the website being penalized, and ensuring that you don't lose traffic for what you should be ranking for, if that makes sense. But there are two common types of strategy when it comes to Google SEO. So black hat and white hat SEO. So basically, black hat SEO is making sure is I've seen it happen so many times. People trust this particular provider, and just as a scenario for you, and then they, oh, like that's really cheap for SEO, and then what happens is the website actually gets penalized on Google because it's been outsourced to a company in India. Like, cheaper is not the best way to win the game of Google. Most likely, when it's really cheap, they're not doing the right thing by Google. And when you don't play by the rules, you'll get penalized. And I've been in a position where I have seen, and this is the reason why I decided to leave the previous agency I worked at, was because they charged the client a fortune for SEO, and they outsourced to a company in India. But that marketing agency didn't actually understand SEO. He just understood that he could actually make a bit of a profit off this client, but not understanding the process and the big picture. And what we realized is that actual website, when I brought it to the business owner's attention, I was like, you do know this website's been penalized on Google. He hadn't a clue what I was talking about. But that business actually lost millions in business because of being penalized on Google, and they lost all that natural traffic. So you don't want to be in that position. You really need to be following white hat SEO strategy. And unfortunately, from my experience, not many people understand that. They might do on page, and they might do a small bit of off page, but in order to win the game of Google, it's a three-pronged approach. It's on page, off page, technical. So everything to do with the website is on page. So we're talking about content, keywords, links to internal pages, conversion points, everything with the experience on the website. And there's even more. I'm just trying to give you a bit of an example of some of the top tier things. Then off page is all the links driving traffic back to the site. We want to make sure that they're all credible, healthy, positive links that are going to add credibility in Google's eyes. We want to make sure we're listing you in directories that are actually going to build your credibility, not dilute it. But unfortunately, when you have a website on Google, what happens is that you do have spammy links that attach themselves into the back end of a website. So if you're not doing an SEO campaign, and I suppose you're managing it very closely, you are going to have a whole host of spammy backlinks in the back end. But the purpose of doing effective SEO is identifying what those negative links would be and stopping them in their tracks. But if you're not monitoring that on the monthly basis, you will inadvertently have them anyway. Technical SEO is to do with all of the coding, so all the nerdy stuff. When you build a website, you want to make sure that all the coding actually satisfy best practice SEO. So when we talk about coding, and I'm just going to throw a few technical jargon stuff, but I don't want to lose you. But like robots, TXT, XML sitemap, those are the types of things that, like, if they're not done correctly, can actually get you penalized as well on Google. And so from my experience of working for a lot of agencies, people don't understand that's just such an important part of the overall SEO pie. So again, when it comes to Google, right, we all want to win the lottery, and people, from my experience, I've heard people complain that they can't be found by their ideal client. But in order to be found by your ideal client, you can't just whack up a website. Unfortunately, you also need to buy a ticket to be in the game of the lottery, and that is investing in your SEO for your website. It's like your website is a shop front. You wouldn't open up your shop front on a street, say in Perth, for example, and not tell people you're open for business. Essentially, having a website without telling people you're open for business, i.e. SEO, is kind of defeating the purpose of having a website, because you want to have your website working for you like a staff member, like a sales business development member. That's kind of what the goal of what it is that we do. We put the engine back in the Ferrari to ensure that we can actually make sure your business is actually going to succeed by having a really, really powerful website. Okay. When it comes to Google, the analogy I want to use here is relationships. Okay, so obviously when we first meet somebody for the very first time, we're not going to trust them straight away. They kind of need to earn our trust. It might even be, even you meet somebody at a networking event, you're like, oh, just not sure, I'm going to take my time getting to know this person before I even think about doing business with them, for example. The same applies with Google. Like, when you start doing Google ads or SEO, like, Google's watching you, what you're doing. And if you're not following the rules and you're not giving them what they want, they're not going to give you what it is that you're looking for. So if you date somebody, for example, and you go on your first few dates, you can't expect them to the guy to propose to you after 3 dates. There is a certain criteria that you need to like follow, whether we know it or not. Some people get proposed after 3 months. I'm not saying that they don't, but the reality of the situation, it's about building a long-term relationship with Google. So Google falls in love with you, falls in love, fall, yeah, anyway, I'm a bit tongue-tied this morning, falls in love with you, and then they will give you everything you ever wish for through your website. But in order to do that, it's a process. It's a relationship that you're building Google's trust over a period of time. Okay. So I want to make sure that we are jumping through the hoops to prove to the significant other that we're worthy of also being in the relationship with them. Google is the exact same. Okay, it is a process. Oh God, sorry. Apologies. Now, the unfindable reality is that nobody goes past the first page of Google. So I love this analogy. The best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Google because nobody actually looks there. Essentially, if you are not on the first page, you are not open for business. Um, and most businesses are actually billboards in the desert when it comes to being found on by their ideal client. Um, and the devastating effects is that I often hear from business owners is that, oh, if only more people could find us, we could convert them. The reality of what we do is we actually match you with your ideal client. So if you don't have a sales internal problem and you're a service-based business, if you get more leads coming through your website, your business will smash it. However, if you're an e-commerce business and you just need more online sales, but you can't be found by your ideal clients, then Google Ads, Google Shopping would be under the Google Ads platform would be the ideal scenario. But there's so many different strategies that you can work with when it comes to Google to ensure we can get you out of that desert. It's just a bit of a process. Now, the findable reality, so people that can be found on Google, they understand it's a foundation for all their success. So I ask you and I urge you to, after today's call, do look at your website and ask yourself, am I really proud of what I'm saying here? Does this really reflect me as a business? If the answer is no, chances are you need to do some work on your site, okay? It's a pillar your website should be a pillar for all the communication. It is your shop front online. If you need to treat it as like, so if your business is open, if you had a shop front and it was open for business and you had footfall traffic coming through it, you need to ask yourself, would you be happy if your ideal client came through your website? Would it be the same scenario? Because as I said to you, like the person that comes on your website needs to be having a fabulous experience. And if it's not, and it's something that we've went the cheaper route for now, which is absolutely fine. We have to start somewhere sometimes in business, but cheaper is not necessarily always going to be very impactful for your brand. Okay. Like websites are the backbone of your success. It's a key part of getting clients as well, which is your website. And people that do get it right also have a strategy to pull in new clients. So the only way Google works really, really well is ensuring that you're very clear on the problem that you solve and who you're speaking to. So the amount of times that we've had clients come to us and like, oh, we just need more clients. I'm like, okay, but what actual problem do you solve? And they can't even answer that for me. They're definitely not people that we can work with straight away. You need to do some work. And Sarah, I'm pretty sure, do you cover that in your mastermind? Like identifying the problems that they solve and like where their ideal client hangs out?
We've had some an expert covering that under the sales strategy. So yeah.
Great. Great. So I think like the more that you can get crystal clear about your ideal clients and who you're speaking to, Google will just add to that because it'll give you more cheaper cost per click as well because you're giving the audience what they're looking for. Oh God, sorry. Sorry. So let's go back to the billboard and the desert analogy. But we just need to make sure that we're not going to be this dead in the water business that is a billboard in the desert. In order to get out of that desert, there is a lot of different strategies that you need to do. Okay, so I think we're all very clear of we don't want to be billboards in the desert. We want to be billboards in Times Square. So just a few things that I wanted to touch on. And two of the main campaigns that we do here at the Search Republic is Google Ads and SEO. So I'm just going to explain to you like with Google Ads and why it's so important. Okay, it does give you instant visibility. And essentially from the minute an ads campaign goes live, you can see it live on Google. However, just to urge caution on that front. Your business isn't going to blow up overnight on Google Ads when the minute it goes live. It takes a period of time. We usually, when we take on a brand new Google Ads client that has never done Google Ads before, we say, let's look at it for 90 days and let's watch the data, meaning that we want to make sure that it is definitely has potential to pay for itself and they make profit on top. But the business isn't going to double your turnover with Google Ads in 3 months. We've had clients that have partnered with us for Google Ads, and in the first 3 months, it's just been steady growth. If you think about it, we're trying to show Google that we are a worthy component, like opponent of having all of the ideal traffic coming through. So we need to feed the beast, and we need to give it what it wants. So in that first 90 days, we want to make sure that we're actually identifying what's working with the audience, remove what's not working. Sorry, I'm just doing a time check. And give Google more of what it wants. Okay. Businesses can really, really benefit from Google Ads, because especially if you have never done SEO or never done Google Ads. SEO is a long-term process, as I've previously explained. Like, it can take anything up to 6 to 12 months before you see any increase on rankings, and sometimes it can take longer. Depends on the competitiveness within your industry. We've had a plastic surgeon that's been with us for 4 years, and the first 18 months it was really, really hard to get them results because it was a process of jumping through so many hoops. And now they turned off their Google Ads because they can't keep up with the work coming through from SEO. So that is the power of done correctly, but it's just there's different strategies and there's different time frames around them. But as I said to you, you'll get instant visibility on Google Ads when you set them live. But we want to make sure that we're actually having the right ideal client that we're speaking to. And sometimes with our ideal client, we're not going to have all the information until the campaign goes live. So we need to tweak it based on the data coming through. You can actually target your ideal client based on where their location is, what their age range is, what their interest is. You can literally give Google exactly what it wants and ensure that your ads are placed in front of your ideal client. I absolutely adore Google Ads because, especially for somebody who's never done any form of advertising before and they need more bums on seats or they need more inquiries, like, it is amazing. It really is. The power to transform businesses is like insane. It's very cost effective as well. Like, so if you think about years ago, you may have put an ad in the West Australia and you can't actually track how many people have actually seen your brand. You literally are only paying when somebody clicks on your ad. Like, so if somebody clicks on your ad, chances are they're your ideal client because they're interested in the ad copy because it's matched what they've put into Google. So they may not convert straight away, but there are people that will convert straight away. But it just comes down to how the campaign is going to progress once we get it live. Okay. And it's measurable results. So if you do follow me, you'll see in my highlights tab, or you'll see on my feed, you'll see like in some of my latest reels or results reels, you'll see like there's like literally screenshots of results. Like, you can physically track how much traffic we've had, the click-through rate, as in the type of relevance coming through, the amount of conversion. So you can track how much sales have come through, you can track how many phone calls and email inquiries have come through, to ensure that you're not just shooting blind. I suppose it's like you want to make sure your budget is accounting for something and it's actually coming back to trackable results. So this is exactly why I love Google and digital marketing, because you can physically track the data and it's completely transparent. There's 5 types of Google ads, which I already explained earlier. So you can do search ads, display ads, video ads, shopping ads, and app ads. They all sit under the Google Ads platform. Now, the steps for Google Ads success: make sure you define your ideal client. It is super important that you know who you're speaking to. Otherwise, like, we've had clients before, I'm like, okay, so tell us, like, what kind of stuff do you want to show up for? And their language is so technical. I'm like, but your ideal client doesn't know that information. We need to figure out what problem it is that you solve and target the problem, and you being the solution to that problem. So sometimes it is a bit harder to come out of your business and think about how your ideal client is, but it's so important that you figure that out before you start doing a Google Ads campaign. Intense keyword research, so making sure that we are opening ourselves up for opportunities around different types of searches that our ideal client would be looking for, and you can do that all through the keyword planning tool. Ad copy, you want to make sure that, like, you have a strong call to action to encourage people to click through, but also within the ad copy, you want to make sure that you're following best practice Google Ads, which site link extensions, call out extensions, and you actually have the expanded text ads. So you're not just having like blurb copy, like 1 or 2 lines. There's a formula that you need to conform to when it comes to ad copy. Then landing page experience. So you could have the most fabulous ads, but if they come on the website and the website is not great and it's not reflecting exactly what it is that you do. So if we drive traffic to your homepage for every service that you do, you're going to pay a fortune in cost per click. So if you have, for example, within your service-based business, within your services tab, try not to have all your services on one page, break them down into individual services. And within those individual services, make sure you're speaking about one service with, and then you can sprinkle some keywords throughout there, because when you're driving, like in Google Ads, and you're driving traffic to your Google Ads camp to the website, you want to make sure it's talking exactly about that service based on the problem that you've solved in Google. So everything comes back to relevance, and that ensures that your cost per click is reduced. Okay. Monitor and optimize as well. So I can't tell you the amount of mistakes I see in my space is that you set up a Google Ads campaign and it's never optimized and it's let set and forget. Honestly, it'll cost you an absolute fortune. The reality of the situation is, like, when you do that, like, you're paying far much more than you need to. We've had clients whereby they've come to us and in the first month they've paid, say, $2,000 in ad spend, or 500, doesn't matter. But like, when we get to month 5, what we tend to see is they actually pull in 3 times more traffic for the exact same budget, because we follow the rules by Google. That is the goal of what it is that we do. We not only ensure that our marketing costs pay for themselves, but also that the client makes profit on top. But in order to do that, we need to optimize the campaign and make sure it's a well-oiled machine. So it's not just like set and forget and left to die, because that is actually, and this is also one of the reasons why people come to us and say Google Ads doesn't work. It's because it's in the wrong hands. Google Ads can absolutely work for nearly 95% of businesses, let me assure you, but it needs to be in the right hands in order to ensure you have the most positive experience. How to maximize Google Ads? Conversion rate optimization. So when people come on your website, make sure you have a phone call and an email inquiry form to the top right hand corner of your website. It's so important. Otherwise, it's kind of like, well, what you want them to do, just to look at how gorgeous your website is. You actually need to convert them into a lead. But if you're have just all of your conversion points on your contact page, well, what's the point in that? Because you're making it hard for your end user to find your contact details. It needs to be top right hand corner, and make sure it satisfies not only desktop, it needs to satisfy mobile first. Okay. Adequate ad spend budget. So you do need to have an adequate ad spend behind Google Ads. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to do $100 and see what happens. You kind of need to have a realistic budget in mind. Focusing on the problem that you solve as well. So making sure we have some keywords that are focusing on the problem that you solve, not necessarily what you do. Avoid the set and forget mentality, which we've discussed, and drive relevant traffic to a relevant page. That comes back to services. Break down your services into individual pages that we speak about just one service on that page, not everything on that page. Link your ads to Google My Business profile. So this is where in the Google My Business profile, you can actually see your ads actually pop up within the Google local listings as well. Location targeting versus time zones. So for example, we have clients that target different time zones all over Australia. So if they're setting up their campaign and they want to target multiple time zones, we always break down the campaign per time zone to ensure we can control the budget. Otherwise, if you've more, say, if you have more popularity for that product or service in Sydney, but you also are trying to target Perth, Sydney then is going to eat up all the budget. So in order to have full budget control, you need to break them up into miniature campaigns within the ad account. And include negative keywords. So this is the beauty about when we do start a campaign, but not the beauty, it's part of the process. There are times where some of the clients, when a campaign goes live with a new Google Ads campaign, we're looking for data. They've never run it before. There might be certain ideas, some inquiries that they're like, oh, that's just not what we do. Absolutely fine. Then we actually use negative keywords to feed that back into the campaign to ensure that we don't actually show up for those irrelevant search terms. And then a brand campaign, make sure you always have a brand campaign. Otherwise, your competitors can actually pull your traffic from you and steal your traffic if you're not bidding on your own brand name. And then adhere to Google Ads guidelines. It is so important to make sure that you are following best practice Google Ads. Otherwise, you are wasting your money. Okay, I'm going to take a drink because we're going to go on to going to go on to SEO next. So just give me one sec. Is everyone all good on Google Ads? We will discuss questions at the end, but all good. I haven't lost anyone. All good, Sarah? Good. Fabulous. So purpose of SEO, as I said to you, like this is a really, really good
Sorry,
cycle for you
Sonja.
to,
Sorry, there was one
yeah,
question on negative keywords. Mari just said, can you please expand on negative keywords? I can probably answer that for you.
yeah.
If you're in a space where, say you're in massage, I'm a massage therapist, I'm not a prostitute. And so I don't want people searching for those. So we want to avoid the words that people are using. Is that correct, Sonja?
Yeah, it's that. So for example, if we're and just on the that kind of line of industry, so for example, we partner with L'Oreal, so we get a lot of L'Oreal clients, and some of our salons are so specific in the type of their ideal client. So they would be like, yeah, we do blow dries, and then they might say to us, well, our money not isn't really in the older lady blow dries. And we're like, okay, cool. So we can actually make sure that we don't show up for those types of blow dries. We can actually be even more targeted, like curly blow dry is actually the more ideal traffic that we want to pull in, or we're a blonde specialist, but we don't do color specialists, or we don't do kids styling, for example. We just want to make sure that if they're getting traffic or getting leads for, like, say, kids styling, that we actually want to make sure that the campaign doesn't eat up in the budget. And sometimes within Google Ads campaigns as well, you want to make sure that you're targeting your top ROI areas of your business, not everything that you do, because it might cost you more to advertise on Google as opposed to what your return on investment would be. So think about your lucrative items and start from there, and then you can build out the campaign. So I hope that makes sense. But I can answer more in the end if that's okay. I'm just conscious of time. Sorry. So this is SEO. So as we all understand, this is how you naturally appear on the Google search result under the maps listing. So it influences purchasing decisions. It maximizes all paid marketing efforts. It's quality traffic that leads into loyal customers. It increases leads and bookings, reduce cost per acquisition for acquiring a new client. So you do not pay per click when people actually search you and find you here. It's a pillar for scaling your business's success. It's quality assurance for end users. It kind of just builds that credibility and trust. Okay. I see you want to take a picture, Julia. Did you get your picture? Okay, fab. No worries. So this just going to give you a bit of a mind map when it comes to SEO. It's the backbone of your entire digital strategy. As I said before, and I'm going to keep banging on, it's a long-term process, 12 to 18 months at a minimum. Sometimes it can take longer, it just depends on your industry, but it kind of comes back to having some skin in the game and building trust with your provider and ensuring that you're in the right hands, but understanding that it is not something that's going to happen straight away. It's like something that you're investing for the future of your business, but knowing that things are changing and you can actually see incremental changes. It's just not going to blow up your business overnight. It just takes time. And that we're very, very passionate about it because, as I said to you before, we have clients that come to us and they do SEO and Google Ads. And as they become busier, we tend to turn off Google Ads or reduce the ad spend because they also can only control how many leads they can take on or how many new clients they can take on. You can do that, but again, they're not going to be paying per click. So it definitely 100% reduces with the cost per acquisition. White hat versus black hat. We did speak about that earlier, but black hat is not following the rules and white hat is following the rules. So we want to make sure we're always following the rules. We think about going to the casino. You can't, there's so many rules, like when it comes to going over to Birdswood, over to Crown, like you can't even have your hands near the table, you can't have drinks, you can't have your phone, like all those things you need to play by the rules, otherwise you're kicked out. Same with Google, like you have to play by the rules when it comes to SEO, and you cannot trick the system. You will be penalized in the long run. So SEO is not about tricking the system. It's about partnering with the system to ensure that you can provide the best search results for end users. As I said, Google only cares about the end user. It does not care about you as a business. And the goal, so obviously we looked at the billboard and desert analogy before. This is obviously billboards in Times Square. So when you do the right thing by Google, they will put your name in lights on Google for the problem that you solve, but it takes time to get there. And that is kind of what we're trying to achieve with the campaigns that we do. Okay. So I'm going to give you some amazing secrets, some amazing hidden secrets, but I'm just going to do a time check. All good. Okay, so these are some cool tools I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to fly through these like rapid fire. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to get a chance to cover any questions at the end. But feel free to watch back the recording. Sarah's going to share that with you guys. So feel free to watch it back. And Google is your best friend. YouTube is your best friend. Have a play around if any of these resonate with you. So Google Trends, you can actually figure out what's happening within your industry. You can get market research, product research, trend variation by location, discover seasonality of your products or services, find niche products, improve your marketing and online advertisements as well, and brand comparison and analysis. Google Trends is your best friend, okay? So you can literally type in like what kind of keywords are getting the searches across Australia in the past. You can give them it can give you a duration of what is actually the best keywords to go after. So Google Trends is going to be your best friend if you want to have an idea of what kind of keywords to look for and like what kind of search volumes we're seeing. This is another one showing you like in Australia, custom engagement ring versus diamond engagement ring, like what happened in those periods of times, what as the trends over with those keywords, okay? It gives you a breakdown based on the different regions within Australia about where the most popularity is. So you can see here, custom engagement ring is only really has some sort of traction coming through in New South Wales, but everybody else Australia wide is diamond engagement ring. So people aren't searching for custom engagement rings. So you wouldn't target that in your Google Ads campaign or on your website, if that makes sense, because people aren't searching for that. Okay. Google Search Console. Google Search Console is a free SEO tool that allows you to track your site's health and performance. So essentially, if you have a website and you don't have GA4, Google Search Console, any of that, like you really are missing out on actually understanding what happens when people arrive on your site. But you could also be using it to track metrics in detail for search traffic changes. So you can actually track like what people have searched for, how many clicks you've got for certain keywords, all to be found in Google Search Console. So it shows you here, look, if you put in your domain name, you can see the amount of clicks you've got, you can see the amount of impressions, you can see like what the average click-through rate is, the position that you're currently ranking for on Google. It's ridiculous. So understanding how your site is performing on Google is the utmost importance. And if you don't understand what's happening from a data perspective, you can't really make decisions. Otherwise, you're just making decisions based on emotion rather than actual data. It allows you also to review the pages that Google can already find you for, and it can index. It allows you to submit your sitemap and individual URLs for crawling and indexing. So for example, if you added a new page to your website, you're not going to magically show up on Google for that. You need to tell Google that there's been a change to your website to ensure that they can actually index you for that page. And most people wouldn't be aware of that. It can identify some technical SEO issues that are on your website as well that you need to rectify. And when it comes to technical SEO, things that need to be fixed, usually that requires your web developer to go and actually rectify those issues for you. Next is Google Analytics 4. Who has Google Analytics 4 set up on their website? Can I get a show of hands? Amazing, Sarah. Nina, have you got it set up? And Tanya, have you got it?
No, well, I've tried numerous times, but I keep getting an error and I don't know how to fix it. So
we can help you with it, don't worry. So actually I have a little surprise for you all anyway, so a little bit of a value add. And Julia, have you got it set up? J4?
I think so. I tried, but I don't know how to check.
There's a
How
few
long
comments
ago did you get it set
saying,
up?
I think I have, and I'm not sure. So there's a few people
Yeah.
that are a bit unclear on that, hun.
Right, okay, no worries at all. So Google Analytics 4 is something that came into effect on the 1st of July last year. So if you had Google Analytics 3, Universal Analytics 3, everything stopped tracking as of the 1st of July. So if you haven't updated it since then, most likely you've lost all of your history of your data. So Google Analytics is single-handedly probably the most important tool that you need for a website to determine what's actually happening. Google Search Console feeds into that, but this is kind of the backbone really that you need. Everybody needs this when they have their website active on Google. So it's called GA4 because it's a new variation of Google Analytics, and it's basically revolutionized how you can actually report on your data. So I would highly recommend, if anyone has any issues with Google Analytics 4, there's going to be a QR code there. You can actually scan it in a minute. And 1 second there now. If you want to scan that, we actually do Google Analytics 4 set up for a lot of clients that just need to actually help with Google Analytics 4. So if you scan that, Sarah, I've also just created a coupon code as well that they can get 10% off if they want us to do any of the setups for you. So even if you tried to set it up, most likely it's not set up correctly, so it wouldn't need to be set up. So you get 10% off there as well. Do you need me to hold this up a bit longer, or we're all good? Has everyone scanned that? But Sarah, you can actually maybe share the links anyway. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so again, this is the kind of data, it's like driving in the dark. You can actually, this is without having Google Analytics, it's like driving in the dark. You don't know what's happening. Whereas with GA4, you can actually physically see what's happening, okay, on your website. So as you can see here, the types of stuff that we can see is the amount of people that have been on the website, how much conversions, how many leads and inquiries and online sales have actually come through, what's happening when people get on the site. It tells you the breakdowns of your conversions, so phone calls, the amount of purchases that happened, the contact form submissions. So you can't tell any of this data unless you actually have GA for it. So that's that screen again. And then when you have GA4, it'll give you a better understanding about how you can make marketing decisions and about where you need to invest your budget more, because you can see what channels of traffic people are coming from. So if the people are coming from social media, if they're coming from direct, if they're coming organically, if they're coming from your email marketing, you can see all of that data from GA4. It's all of the traffic coming on your website. It's like it'll be your best friend. So do you all have Instagram for your businesses? Do you all use Insights? Yeah, Insights. You know what Insights are?
I
To
hope
check.
they do.
So yeah, perfect. I got a thumbs up. So this basically is Insights for your website. Okay, so this is like the same as what you check Insights for Instagram. This gives you insights for what's actually happening on the website. The factors that are impacting Google readiness and why people are so slow to do the Google side of things is because they may have been burnt in the past, and it is a huge problem in our industry, as I said, and people that don't have a budget for marketing. If you don't have a budget for marketing, I highly recommend you actually grow your business organically with the right tools, like put on your marketing hat and actually find other ways. And actually make sure you're adding value constantly on social media, build relationships, like understand how people, like problem that you solve, but understand how people engage with your brand. And then when you do realize, okay, I'm actually ready to invest in marketing, then yes, it would be wise to invest in paid marketing when you're ready and you fully are like in that space. But until that point, I'd highly recommend you get your Google My Business up to date, your Google My Business listing, because that's something that you could actually do that's very cost effective. We can also help you with that if you need us to do audit. Get your Google GA4, Google Analytics 4 set up, because that'll give you some data so you can actually make decisions around your marketing there. And it could be a case of if you have a website and you're like, oh, I just want to know if there's stuff that I can do, we can also help you with a SEO on fire audit. That's obviously part of the competition today, but we do offer that as a standalone service. So you get a blueprint as to what's actually stopping you from ranking on Google. But again, if you don't have a strategy, Google is not going to work. Okay, you need to have a strategy on how to reach your ideal client. You need to know a lot about your ideal client to ensure that we can come in and just plug what it is that you're amazing at, and then ensure that we can match you with your ideal client. So the lack of focus on problems that you solve, it's a huge one. I see it all the time. Unable to convert leads into sales. So we have had clients in the past whereby they get so much leads, but they have no idea how to convert them into sales. So people sometimes that search on Google or like search for any product or service, they're relying on the business owner's area of expertise to get them to the decision. So if people are inquiring, but you don't have an understanding on how to get them into a customer, it's not going to be effective for you. So I'd highly recommend, Sarah's spoken about you guys doing some sales training. Make sure that you're all over that, because if people inquire and they want to know about it is about your business, but you're not converting them into actual clients, Google for a service-based business isn't going to work. It's only going to be as good as your sales process. But if you are an e-commerce business, of course, it works amazingly well. Unrealistic expectations. So sometimes people come and they're like, oh, they expect the world straight away, and it's just not possible when it comes to Google. We know from our trends that usually it takes about 6 to 12 months to see an increase on SEO. We have been known to see that within 90 days, we have a good understanding as to if this is really going to work long term for our clients or not, which is why we have different arrangements to suit everybody's contract requirements. We have a poor website design is a huge problem as well. So if the design is just like hasn't had much thought into it, like I want you all to go away and have a think about, how do I wear the shoes of my ideal clients? Like, what exactly steps do they need to take to find what I'm looking for? And by all means, get your friends and family or people that don't know anything about you to say, okay, this is what you have a problem with. Tell me if you can find the solution easily on the website, because that would give you some real live focus group data about the things that you could change, and be open to feedback from people outside your circle, because that is what is really going to help you long term. Okay. Lack of conversion points is the biggest problem that we see. So when I say obviously poor web design, this is under poor web design, this is the single-handedly the most important thing. So on the top right hand corner, everyone should have an email inquiry form and a phone call, and then your social media icons should be to the left. So a website that does not generate leads is like a Ferrari engine. Nobody is going to be able to convert on your site. Gorgeous website, but useless. Gorgeous car, useless without an engine. So we need to make sure we put the engine back into the Ferrari. This is Oswald Homes. We have designed this website. So if you can see email inquiry, phone call in the top right-hand corner on a mobile device, and you can also see it on a desktop version as well there. This is what I'm talking about when I say conversion points. View designs, inquire now. These are conversion points, okay? We need to make sure that your website has those. I'm telling you, the amount of probably about 60-70% of clients that come that want to work with us and say they've even had a really bad experience before, come to us with this exact same problem, that the lack of conversion points. You can do this very easy yourself. Whoever has done your website for you, you can ask them to add the conversion points for you. These are some of our beautiful clients and how much they love us, and they tell us what we've done and how we've transformed their businesses. Kids Shack, we help them grow their business by 30% in annual sales. Sharon Higgins, she's a client of mine for about 10 years, but she's been with the business since the very start. She's one of the OGs. She grew her business, her bottom line profit by 50% based on the work that we do. Whereas the School Perth, horrendous experience with another agency, now has increased 53% in sales. Oswald Homes, same situation, 80% increase on inquiries from revamped. Basically, Kayleen Eastman, another horrendous experience with a previous agency. Ashley Park generated 30 grand in new business for her business in 10 weeks of the campaign, Google Ads campaign going live. She was one of the clients that rang us and she was like, I have too much work. I think the answer is to turn off Google Ads. And I'm like, well, you came to us with a problem that you needed more business. But she got so overwhelmed because she had so much business coming through. She's like, this is ridiculous. So she actually now has had to hire two people on top of that. There's another client, Christine. She actually, in 2 months, she had 295 inquiries, which was a massive increase of 43% in her business. She had to hire 3 new full-timers to keep up with the demand coming through. And again, had another horrendous experience with another agency. So as you can see, the trend is people usually come to us when they've tried everything and they're like, Google's not going to work, but you seem to know what you're doing. So I've spotted you on Instagram. I'll give you a crack. I'm like, okay, we'll have a go. I bet you it's not Google that's the problem. I bet you it's the people that have been managing it for you, and 9 times out of 10 I'm right. So key takeaways, guys: link your Google Ads to your Google My Business profile. Start using Google Trends. So write that down and Google that later and YouTube it and see how you can get across that. Start using your Google Search Console. That would be another one. And then set up your GA4 yesterday. Okay, so Google Analytics 4, every single one of you need it instantly. Like, it is so important. You're leaving money on the table and you're literally driving your car without the lights on. That's realistically what you're doing, okay, without having Google Analytics 4. Conversion points, top right hand corner, we need all the conversion points, okay, guys? And then be Google ready and get out of that desert. All right, it's so important. Because I'm sure when you are, business is hard, and the thing is, you need to be front and center and be found by your ideal client. And when you're not found by your ideal client, it's very disheartening, because you know how amazing it is that you're due. what it is that you do. If you could just find more people, that's usually what people tend to say to me. So you deserve to be found by your ideal client. You can actually help them. So why aren't you being found by your ideal client, I ask you? So make sure you try and get out of that desert and do take away some of my top tips, okay? So if you do believe that you're ready to take business to the next step, I invite you, if you'd like to book a call with my team. We can actually advise you what the next steps are. So if you want to scan this QR code, this can actually give you just a bit of an insight, and you can book a call with one of my team members, and they can take you through a process and what a recommendation would be if you feel that you're